Hey everyone! Welcome to the Bold and Beautiful 24. I'm Alessio, and I'm so excited to have you here. If you love Bold and Beautiful, then you're in the right place. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Alright, let's dive right in. Liam signs on for an experimental surgery that could save his life. The beeping of the machines was soft, almost rhythmic, but each pulse was a reminder that Liam Spencer's life hung in the balance. He was awake, alert even, but his future was far from certain. Inside that sterile hospital room, Bill Spencer sat in the same chair he hadn't left for days. He looked exhausted, like the weight of the world had settled on his shoulders and refused to budge. The room was dim, the blinds partially closed, but sunlight still filtered in and glinted off the 4 lines that trailed into Liam's arm. Dr. Grace Buckingham was there, doing her usual checks, listening to Liam's heart and gently pressing her fingers along his side. Liam winced slightly and tried to crack a smile. "You know, Dad, you're going to leave an imprint in that chair," he joked weakly. "How long has it been?" 3 days. 4. Bill looked over at his son, his lips curling into a faint smile. "Long enough that your sister had to practically wrestle me just to bring me coffee," he replied. "I'm not going anywhere. Not now." Grace stepped back and regarded Liam for a moment. "You've got a lot to live for, Liam. Just remember that." Her tone was firm, but kind. She gave Bill a small nod and quietly slipped out, giving them space. Bill stood and perched himself gently on the edge of the bed. "You know," he said softly, "I could have lost you." His voice cracked a little. "And if I had, it would have been on me." Liam looked down at the blanket covering his lap. "Luna's gone now," he murmured, not looking at his father. "We're good, Dad." There was a silence between them, heavy with things left unsaid. Finally, Bill reached out and gripped Liam's hand. "I'm proud of you. You saved Steffy's life. You didn't think about yourself, even with everything you were dealing with." From the hallway, Grace glanced back through the small window in the door. She lingered for a second, watching father and son. Bill looked up at Liam again, his expression suddenly more intense. "Why didn't you tell me?" he asked quietly. "Why didn't you tell me about the brain tumor? You know I'd do anything to help you." Liam's eyes softened. "I wasn't trying to shut you out, Dad. I just didn't want our last conversations to be about dying. I didn't want to spend what could be my final days watching you grieve me while I was still breathing." Bill's jaw clenched. "Well, we're not going to spend them grieving. We're going to fight this." He glanced at the door. "Grace heard you say you want to fight. She wants to talk." Grace tells Bill what he's been desperate to hear. In a nearby private room, Bill stood across from Grace, still visibly shaken from the conversation with his son. Grace, composed as always, folded her arms and leveled her gaze at him. "I overheard what Liam said," she admitted. Bill was quick to respond, almost desperate. "So now he wants to fight. That's something, right? But tell me honestly, am I giving him false hope? Is there a real chance here?" Grace paused, then leaned in slightly. "What if I told you there might be?" Bill's breath hitched. "You told him it was inoperable." She nodded. "It is. At least, by traditional standards. But there's something else I've been looking into, a treatment, still in the experimental phase. Early testing only, and not something this hospital would approve. It's off the books. But Bill, the results so far have been promising." Bill didn't hesitate. "Then we do it." "It's expensive," she warned. He pulled out his checkbook. "I'll write you a blank check if that's what it takes. I just want to save my son." Grace gave a small nod, clearly relieved that Bill was on board. "The next step is convincing Liam." She emphasized again how risky the procedure would be. "There's no guarantee. But without it, he won't make it. You want to make things right? Help me help him. He needs your support more than ever right now." Bill nodded slowly, determination building in his eyes. "I'll get through to him." At Forrester Creations, the Italy trip and a wedding question. Meanwhile, at Forrester Creations, the mood was far from celebratory. Ridge Forrester, Brooke Logan, and Eric Forrester were gathered in the main office, trying to focus on the business at hand. But even as they discussed Luna no longer being a threat to the company, their thoughts kept drifting back to Liam. "It's just not fair," Brooke said quietly. "After everything he did to stop Luna and save Steffy, and now this." Eric rubbed his temples. "I keep thinking about that moment. If he hadn't stepped in when he did." Ridge cleared his throat. "He saved her life. That's not something I'll ever forget." Trying to lighten the mood, Eric turned to Brooke. "We still have that trip coming up, Naples. Ridge and I will be going. You should come with us." Brooke smiled faintly. "Italy, the Amalfi Coast. I haven't been in years." Ridge added, "It's too bad Steffy can't come. She needs the break." Eric wasn't done yet. "So, Brooke, what do you say? Come with us. Let's make some more memories." Later, when the two men were alone, Eric nudged Ridge again. "Use the time to reconnect with Brooke. Let her feel cared for." Ridge gave a half-laugh. "It's not a vacation, Dad. It's work." Eric grinned. Italy has a way of turning business into something more magical. Nick Marone complicates things. Down the hall in the design office, Brooke had another visitor, Nick Marone. He leaned casually against the desk as he greeted her. "I heard about the shooting," he said gently. "How are you holding up?" Brooke looked tired. Relieved, honestly. "Steffy's okay, and Liam's still fighting." Nick nodded slowly. "I'm sure Ridge is ready to throw a parade for Liam." Brooke chuckled. "Not until we're back from Naples." Nick's expression changed when she mentioned the trip. "You're going with Ridge and Eric?" She raised an eyebrow. "Why not?" Nick frowned. "What are you doing, Brooke?" "Donna and Taylor talk Italy." Over at the Forrester mansion, Donna Logan and Taylor Hayes were sipping tea as they discussed the trip. "Eric really wants Brooke to come along," Donna mentioned. "With everything going on, I think it could be good for her." Taylor hesitated. "Do you really think now's the right time?" Donna shrugged. "I do. But I'm more curious about how you feel about it." Taylor gave a small smile. "I trust Ridge. Besides, Nick Marone's back." Back at Forrester, more tension. Taylor arrived at Forrester later that day just in time to hear Eric and Ridge having a heated conversation about Nick. "I'm just saying," Eric told his son, "you might want to ask yourself why Nick being around bothers you so much." Taylor stepped in, slightly amused. "Am I interrupting?" Eric smiled. "Just telling Ridge to stop being jealous." Once Eric left, Taylor turned serious. "Let's talk about the wedding. Can we set a date?" Ridge didn't answer right away, but eventually he nodded. They kissed, as if sealing the promise. Nick makes a move. Back in the design office, Nick wasn't backing down. "You're going down the same road again with Ridge," he said. "Are you sure that's what you want?" Brooke was trying to stay polite. "I have meetings every day in Naples." "So do I," Nick said, stepping closer. "But I'll make time for you." He reached out and gently brushed her arm. "You deserve to feel special. Wanted. Come to Italy with me instead." He kissed her hand and smiled. "Just think about it." Back at the hospital, the mood had shifted. Liam lay in bed, eyes scanning the ceiling, his mind racing with thoughts. When Bill returned, he was more serious than ever. "There's something we need to talk about," Bill began, pulling the chair closer. "Grace told me about a procedure. An experimental one." Liam looked over, his interest piqued. "Experimental?" "Yeah," Bill nodded. "It's risky, and not approved by the hospital. But it might be your best chance." Liam hesitated. "There's actually a chance? I could survive this." Grace stepped into the room, her face calm but her tone steady. "Yes, there's a possibility. I told your father because he deserves to know. And you deserve options, Liam." Bill leaned in, his voice low but urgent. "You said you want to fight. Here's your chance. But you'll have to act now. There's no time to waste." Grace added, "Because of your gunshot wound, the risk is higher. But I've already reached out to a colleague who's performed this procedure. He's agreed to fly in. If we move fast, we can schedule the operation for tomorrow. Liam's eyes widened. Tomorrow. She nodded. The sooner, the better. But it can't happen in this hospital. There are too many legal and ethical constraints. This has to stay under the radar. Liam processed that in silence. It was all happening so fast. I'm not going to let you miss this chance, Bill said, voice rough with emotion. Not when there's even a sliver of hope. Beth and Kelly need their dad. And I can't lose you, son. Liam took a shaky breath. I don't want to die. He swallowed hard. Not yet. I want to see my girls grow up. I want more time. So, yes. Let's do it. Grace nodded, pulling a file from her bag. Then we need you to sign these forms now. This gives consent for the procedure and travel to the clinic. Liam reached for the pen, his hand trembling slightly. Bill steadied it. You're the bravest man I know, he said softly. Liam signed the papers. Tomorrow, he said, voice filled with both fear and determination. Bill nodded. Tomorrow. The first day of the rest of your life. Final preparations. Later that night, Grace met Bill in a quiet hallway near the hospital's east wing. She handed him a sealed envelope containing Liam's test results and the treatment protocol. He's stable for now, she said. But once the surgery begins, there's no turning back. If he starts to bleed internally, there's a real chance we could lose him. Bill stared at the envelope, then at her. We won't lose him. I won't let that happen. Grace nodded. The clinic will be prepped by sunrise. I'll handle the medical logistics. You focus on keeping Liam strong. Bill nodded and headed back to Liam's room. His son was dozing, the kind of restless half-sleep that came with pain and worry. Bill sat beside him again, just like he had for the last several nights. He whispered to the sleeping form of his son, We're going to get through this. I swear. In the shadows, Hope, Steffy, and quiet prayers. While Liam's future was being decided behind closed doors, others were feeling the weight of his diagnosis in different ways. Hope Logan stood outside the hospital's chapel, hands clenched, eyes red from crying. She had tried to stay strong in front of Beth, but now, in this quiet place, she let the tears fall. Inside, Steffy Forrester sat in one of the pews, head bowed. She hadn't said a word since she walked in. Both women had history with Liam, complex, messy, passionate history, but in this moment, all that mattered was that he survived. When Hope finally walked in, Steffy glanced up. The two shared a long look. There were no accusations, no blame. Just shared heartbreak. We need him, Hope whispered. Steffy nodded. He needs all of us now. No more division. And in the stillness of that chapel, the two women sat side by side. Not as rivals, not as exes, but as family, united by their love for the same man. Meanwhile, in Italy, business and tension. The Forrester jet touched down in Naples just as the sun broke over the horizon. The air smelled like sea salt and lemon trees, but tension traveled with them. Brooke stared out the window, trying to lose herself in the view, but her thoughts kept circling back to Liam, and now, Nick. She hadn't told Ridge yet that Nick had asked her to fly to Italy with him. She wasn't sure she even wanted to think about what that meant. Ridge, for his part, seemed determined to keep everything focused on business, but even he could sense something was off. You all right? He asked during a pause in one of their morning meetings. I'm here, she replied with a thin smile. Just distracted. Eric had tried to keep the tone light, even suggesting they tour a few villas along the coast in the afternoon. But there was no denying the tension between Ridge and Brooke was growing. And the presence of Nick Marone in Italy wasn't helping. Nick, as it turned out, wasn't staying quiet. He bumped into Brooke at a cafe near the waterfront later that day. I told you I'd make time, he said with a smile. Brooke shook her head. Nick, I don't have space for this right now. Liam. I know, he interrupted gently. But I just wanted to see you. That's all. She gave a soft sigh. Maybe later.